All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gamey Daddy channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. As promised, I'm going to do a very quick walkthrough of Roosevelt Island. We'll talk about the mission structure, talk about some things that are really cool about this mission design. It makes it quite chaotic, and it's something that provides a reasonable challenge for you basically all through the mission. Every single encounter benefits from the way the level designers decided to actually put this particular mission together. So all the legendary designers had to do was to pretty much just use that, do their spawn point, and make the mission a huge challenge for players. Now, when you reach the first encounter, it's really going to determine what role you're playing. One of the best things that I would recommend is that you stay very close to the bench, or for this particular huge structure that's actually on the ground. There's like some weird, I don't know what it is. It's like a big, huge busted structure. But again, this area, according to the lore of the game, pretty much has, a plane that's actually been grounded, or a few, huge, I would say, structures that have actually been grounded and destroyed, and is being used as a fort. So where that team member of mine that I just passed was standing, that's a decent place to stand. Now, I understand the cover structure of this mission is terrible, and enemies can flank you quite easily, especially legendary enemies. They have all kinds of shenanigans. The shotgunners with the very fast drones, the grenadiers, you also have the warhounds, and you have the healers as well that continue to revive enemies that you've taken down. And I do understand, but there is an aspect of patience that comes with taking this area. You really do have to just take your time. Now, I've seen a lot of people kind of rush their way and kind of run in deep to go ahead and somewhat take on these enemies. Ladies and gentlemen, all of the other areas that you think will provide you good cover are not good cover areas, because at some point, if your team, if you matchmake for a random group, may not have what it takes to be able to, take on the enemies, and you guys can get pushed back and get pressed back, that will give you guys enough time to go back, at least, gather yourselves, and you're able to take on this particular place in the mission. Note, it's not necessarily a huge rush. It's not a sprint. Just take your time. That's what Roosevelt Island is going to pretty much demand from you. Now, the role of a healer is to pretty much lay down a bunch of, I would say a huge area of healing effect for their entire team. Drop your heals or whatever it is. If it's your hive, if it's your chem launcher that you're using for your heals, use that to make sure that you keep an eye on your teammates. And for healers, I would usually recommend that you use the future initiative, because that's also going to give your teammates a bunch of damage. It's also going to give them, pretty much a fast healing, and will give you some damage as well, so that you're not just a healer. If you have a turret, if you have drones, make sure your turrets are actually in a place where they can actually get a good line of sight. If you're using your status effects builds, I would say a chem launcher is the best bet here. A stinger can probably, be positioned in a place to prevent flanking, but that's about all the stinger should be used for. And I think you guys are able to pretty much deal with this area. And then it brings me up to the second area, which is multiple levels of encounters. Now, there is one major thing that I'm going to go ahead and hint you when it comes to this area. Keep back as much as you possibly can. In fact, when you reach the very first set of enemies that are actually located in this little weird creek or whatever it is, you're going to notice that they're going to eventually spread out. But this is actually a funnel. This is your best possible scenario and the best possible situation that you can actually have them. So use that to your advantage, but you have to be willing and quick to burst them down as fast as possible. This wave is going to bring with you some of these mechs and some of these droids, a few runners, and then you're going to get a wave of some of the shotgunners, which you can make easy work of them because they're all just running in a straight line. They're kind of running at a straight file to you, and it's very easy to mow them down. This encounter should not take you guys more than a few minutes. It's not too difficult. Just ensure that your team is well coordinated. In my team, we had somebody using True Patriot. I was also using Opportunistic, so enemy NPCs were falling left and right. For those of you who don't know what True Patriot does, I would recommend that you look up True Patriot. Just go ahead on YouTube, Google it. There'll be results that come up to tell you what True Patriots does and its capabilities. The very next encounter will take you guys, pretty much a little further down the, the little ravine, the funnel. And this time, you guys are in the funnel. So in the last part, the way the developers and the level designers did it, the enemy NPCs are in some sort of a funnel. Now you guys are in some sort of a funnel yourselves, because now the enemy NPCs have wider ground. They have snipers. They have, two of them, an elite and a veteran sniper. Make sure that you prioritize these folks. These folks are there to pretty much make your lives difficult. So if you're using a drone, a chem launcher, make sure that it is actually directed at them. If you're using a sniper or a marksman build, you can pretty much make quick work of them. It's not really a big deal for you, but other people who may be playing can push up a little bit, and you guys are pretty much grounded to this particular area. You have to use this place for cover, and whenever things get hot, you guys can actually draw back a little bit. You're going to also have some, rushers, some shotgunners, and different variety of enemy NPCs that will rush you during this time. Just, take your time and make quick work of them. It's not really a big deal, but you really have to have burst damage or AoE damage or something that's able to keep them back from you. Now, the next portion is also an encounter that happens in this area in multiple areas, and this is where I tell you that staying back is going to come in very important. Now, you also have to measure the way your team is able to do damage, because if they're able to do some really decent damage, it really does work in your favor, because this encounter that happens once you open up this particular gate here is an encounter where the enemy NPCs spawn from a farther distance than your own team. So you can do whatever it is you want. Some people usually make their way into that arena and drop their turrets. For me, this particular video clip I'm using a marksman rifle build, so that's pretty much no problem for me. All I had to do is make quick work of them. Then you must watch for the choppers. There will be about 3 choppers that spawn that will bring with them enemy NPCs and 3 heavies or so. You must make sure that you burst down these heavies as quickly as you possibly can. If you cannot take them out, they're going to disturb you, because they will come with shotgunners who will have drones with them. They'll also come with heavies, and they'll also come with a party of some other bad guys that will be coming at you. One of them will drop on the inside of that, huge plane debris that's over there, and then the other 2 are going to come at you. So your team must be quick to work them out, wear them thin before they get to you, before even a medic is able to drop a healing station. If a medic drops a healing station, you guys have to pretty much understand that you're going to have to draw back a little bit. The team I'm playing on is a randomly match-made team, but I don't know where I found these folks from. They really made quick work of the enemy NPCs here. And then once you're done with this encounter, if everything goes well, this is a very, very interesting place that people usually wipe in because of the heavies. But again, like I said, we were using True Patriot and using Opportunistic, and it was very hard for these heavies to just stay alive. I mean, we cleaned them out really fast, because these 2 builds in synergy are just, lethal to any enemy NPC combination. And the True Patriot person was just very faithful in marking the enemies. I mean, look how fast the support station is healing this heavy. It's insane. It was very hard to take down the last one, but I think the game does crap like that just to give you a hard time. Fast forward, you move your way past this area, and then you make your way further into the island where you're on top of, I think it's like a wing of a plane, and then you're going to encounter a few shotgunners. This is a very easy one. Everybody just pretty much stays behind these logs. Don't run too far ahead. Drop your ordinances, your stingers, your hives, whatever it is. If you want to use your Scorpio, use your Scorpio. Burst them down. There's going to be also a sniper as well. That's also part of this mix, and that sniper is also going to be bothering you guys. So make sure you watch for them, and make sure you watch for the multiple strings of shotgunners that do try to surprise you. They come out of that little crevice in the wall, and their job is they want to disturb you. So they come out of here. Watch for them. Moving on, you make your way into this arena. Now you guys are also in a funnel, and the enemy NPCs are also spread around. So this is what this particular mission structure is about: the funnel and the spread. The funnel and the spread. It's a very interesting level design methodology that the developers use for Roosevelt Island, which makes it kind of challenging for Legendary. But when you're playing the other the other difficulty levels, it also kind of gives a weird fun dynamic, because it's against the outcasts, and they have runners that will run at you, and so that's another really cool thing that you must make sure you pay attention to. This encounter is not really hard to deal with, honestly. If you guys take your time and everybody hangs back, there's going to be no issues at all. And then the second part of this encounter is a really weird one. This place here puts you guys in some sort of kind of open to open tit for tat encounter with the enemy NPCs. watch out for them. And if you have your skill builds, you guys are able to make quick work of them. One thing that's going to be slightly annoying about this area is you're going to have these mechs that are quick to run back to their engineers to fix them when their health is somewhat down. So if you can burst them down real quick, that'll really be nice. But in our case, we just, maintained a lot of discipline. Everybody stayed in cover. Nobody went to try to be a hero, and everybody understood that if you spread yourselves very well, you're more than likely able to prevent them from trying to flank you. Also, watch out for the left side of this map. They will try to flank you from time to time. So if you're the person that's on that side, keep an eye and keep your head on a swivel because they're going to come after you. When you wipe out this area, you're going to then spawn the next encounter, which allows for you guys to be able to take on the enemy NPCs that will be coming out of this particular gate. So again, there is a funnel that happens here as well, which enemies are going to be coming out directly through that gate that's in front of me here. I'm playing sniper, so it's easy for me to be able to point these things out. Somebody goes up there, spawns the bad guys, and a lot of guys will drop their skills right close to the gate, turrets, stinger hives, whatever it is, drones, and those are designed to just burst down the enemies once they come out of the chopper. This doesn't really require too much of any tricks. Just make sure that you do not let the big guys escape through this gate. If they escape through the gate, they will bank left or bank right and try to flank you guys. And at that point, you guys have to draw back. But again, this is something that you have to pretty much be very built for. I wish I looked at the build composition of a lot of my team members, and I'm not showing their skills that they're using, but I do know somebody among us was using, a bunch of or multiple guys were using turrets and drones. So that actually really did help. Turrets and drones, waveform, Empress International build combinations are actually pretty good. If you want to see a build like that, go ahead and run through, my channel, my builds about skills and turrets and drones. I have a lot to pretty much help you guys out with. And then once you're able to take out this area, you pretty much move on to this little spot where you have this weird encounter. This is just chaos. There's not a lot of cover. So shoot them, draw back behind the canopy, and watch your flanks. Make sure that the Warhounds don't come after you. This is something that you must prioritize. Again, like I said, I was dealing a lot of damage. My team members were also doing some really good work. So you make sure that you're watching, all of the different possibilities. They can flank you from this direction that I'm facing because it's an opening, or somebody can focus you from that place because they can see you. And there's a Warhound that will try to at least approach you guys, to some extent. You guys can ground it, but ensure that you're always paying attention. Also, on the left side, you can also have some things try to flank you, even like this Warhound is basically trying to come around and flank us, but we were able to knock it down really easy. Which leads you to the next part. The next encounter is a series of drones. Now, what I would recommend for this area when you make your way in here is that somebody has at least a jammer pulse. A jammer pulse is designed to pretty much destroy, these drones. If it's actually well spec'd, if it has a lot of status effects or I think even skill damage, you're able to pretty much ground these drones for a short period of time, and your team members can burst them down or at least even damage them depending on how well you actually, spec it. So just take your time in here. Don't be a hero. Don't run in front of them. Watch out for the ones that are lobbing grenades at you, and also the ones that are able to pretty much just, one tap you, or the ones that are going to be doing a lot of, auto fire. But if you, again, have a good and well-built jammer pulse, you're able to ground them temporarily so that your team can focus them. Buffs are wonderful. If you notice, True Patriot, again, and I said perfectly, just opportunistic, are doing a lot of the work. I don't really have to do much in this scenario. And then it leads us to the very janky part of this mission. Now, this is a part of the mission that I have seen many groups wipe in. In fact, I think a lot of my team members, they pretty much ran ahead of me in this case. But again, you really have to watch out for this area. Now, here is the one thing you must know about this particular area, this Roosevelt Quarantine Zone area. There are a lot of grenadiers. It is them that are going to wipe you guys and your teammates out. So you really have to do a lot of work. I ideally enjoy running my status effect builds here because I can just drop a stinger on that area where I'm facing. If you notice, I'm actually trying to focus this grenadier. If you notice, he already was trying to shoot a grenade at one of my team members, but I already had him, in trouble. I destroyed his backpack. But what I usually do is I go over there and I drop a stinger, and it usually takes care of them and, helps them retreat. After you take out some of the enemy NPCs, you're gonna have a barrage of shotgunners that will run straight at you. And if you have that hive there, it does a good work in bleeding them and stopping them. You can also use a chem launcher if you're really skilled with it. It really does a good job. On the right side, the enemy NPCs, you can also lock them down using your drones and turrets and drive them back. This is not really a big deal for you guys if you already have well set up builds, but make sure that you're watching your flanks and making sure that, you know, these grenadiers don't have any room. I mean, again, like I said, they are the problem in this particular place. They're too accurate. You know, they're too aggressive in the way that they continue to fire those grenades. And if at any point everything fails, I would say go with a tank build. With a tank build, you can pretty much, you know, give them a lot of trouble. You can keep your team members alive, and, you know, you can pretty much call the shots on the way you want the mission to run. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, one of the really interesting things that I realized was I was playing another session, you know, on another account, and my team members, they ran way ahead and they were downed. And so I switched inside of that pit to a tank build, and I rezzed, you know, one of my teammates, and then the other person rezzed somebody else. And I just walked up in there with my tank build, and my tank build really got the job done for me. So there's not really a, you know, there's not a build that's a one-size-fit-all. It has to be based on your situation. If it was just me, or just because it was me and a healer in our group, I knew using a tank build was going to be quite appropriate in this sense. I used my Foundry Bulwark, you know, and my Bulwark Shield. I mean, if you notice, they're even trying to, you know, shoot me from behind. These guys are crazy, and they really don't like you. Even with a shield, you can still get destroyed. So make sure that you're paying attention to all of this. In fact, with the shotgunners coming my way, I just threw a grenade. I didn't even realize my grenade was an EMP grenade, but at least it still knocked them unconscious for somebody to use their seeker mine to burst them down. And then you have the final area. In fact, I made a video just recently talking about the boat or not the boat, and there are two different techniques on how to deal with this. You guys can do the technique where, you know, you have your turrets and you have them all positioned on the top here. You melt the enemy NPCs, you reduce their numbers. More importantly, you're destroying the mechs. And then once the mechs are destroyed, you and your teammates, you make your way over to the boat that's actually down here on the pier or something like that. And you guys go in there, you camp out, and you start taking on the drones, which are the enemy NPC, the major bosses in this encounter. That's one way to do it. That's a safe way to go about it. Or you can just pretty much jump in and start to mess with the enemy NPCs directly. Start shooting at the drones, and you know, if you guys are skilled and you're actually well built, you will do a good job. I don't think it's really too difficult, but again, a lot of caution, a lot of care is actually I would say recommended in this scenario. Okay, that was a speed run of Roosevelt and exactly how I believe you can use these tips to play the mission and actually be successful. If you have any questions, in order for this video not to be too long, my goodness, leave it in the comment section and I'll be happy to answer. Build ideas, all of the above. I have a bunch of them here on the channel. Look around. I'll probably put a few links for my favorite legendary builds that I do run. My sniper builds, I'm testing them out and I'm starting to like them. So maybe I'll add some build videos regarding that as well. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys so much. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Peace out.